How dare you show your face here after what you did? Sit down and do not make a scene.
Please, this is not the time or the place.
The brightest smiles often hide the deepest wounds, and I learned that painful truth on a warm spring afternoon when I walked into my wife's company celebration wearing my only suit. The elegant ballroom shimmered under crystal lights, sunlight poured through enormous glass windows, and laughter echoed from every corner. Everyone looked confident, successful, and perfectly dressed. I smiled because I wanted my wife to feel proud of me, even though I knew I didn't belong among executives and wealthy business leaders. What I didn't know was that before the afternoon ended, a single question would expose years of silent sacrifice, hidden love, and a truth that would change every life in that room forever. If stories about kindness, hope, and second chances inspire you, welcome to Kindness Echo. We'd love to hear your thoughts as you watch, and if you enjoy stories like this, consider following the channel and sharing them with someone who might need a little hope today. My name is Rowan Mercer. I was 38 years old, and my life looked ordinary from the outside. I worked as a neighborhood bicycle repairman, earning just enough to keep food on the table. My hands were rough from years of fixing chains, tightening bolts, and replacing worn tires. My wife, Celine Hart, had become one of the fastest rising managers at a respected technology company. Watching her succeed was the greatest joy of my life. Years earlier, when we had almost nothing, I quietly sold my father's treasured motorcycle so she could complete a professional certification course. I never told anyone about that sacrifice because I believed love should never keep score. Seeing her dreams become reality was worth every sleepless night and every extra shift I worked. The invitation to the annual company appreciation dinner arrived a week before the event. Celine looked nervous while holding the elegant envelope. She admitted that almost every employee would bring spouses who were lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, or senior executives. I simply smiled and told her that my job did not define my value. I polished my old black shoes until they reflected the afternoon sunlight and carefully ironed my only suit. As we drove toward the luxurious hotel, I noticed her holding my hand more tightly than usual. I thought she was anxious about the evening. I had no idea she feared something entirely different. The ballroom overlooked a peaceful garden filled with blooming flowers, fountains, and families enjoying the beautiful daytime weather outside. Inside, servers moved gracefully between tables while soft piano music floated through the room. Everywhere I looked, people exchanged business cards, celebrated promotions, and spoke confidently about investments, international travel, and million-dollar projects. I felt like an ordinary page accidentally placed inside an expensive magazine, yet I reminded myself that kindness and honesty were worth more than expensive titles. At first, everyone greeted Celine warmly. They congratulated her on recent achievements and praised her leadership. Some nodded politely at me before returning to conversations that barely acknowledged my presence. I wasn't offended. I had experienced moments like this before. Success often attracts attention, while quiet sacrifice usually remains invisible. As lunch was served, one of Celine's coworkers approached our table. His name was Victor Hale. He was known throughout the company for his confidence, expensive watches, and habit of measuring people by their careers rather than their character. His smile looked friendly, but his eyes carried something colder. After glancing at my simple suit and worn shoes, he asked a question that made the entire nearby table fall silent. He wondered how it felt to watch my wife become so successful while I remained only a bicycle mechanic, suggesting that it must be difficult living in someone else's shadow. The words landed heavily, but I refused to answer with anger. I simply smiled and looked toward the sunlit windows. I had spent too many years learning that pride often shouts while dignity speaks quietly. I calmly explained that love was never a competition, and that my wife's success felt like my own, because we had built our dreams together. Some guests nodded politely, but others exchanged uncertain glances as if they expected embarrassment instead of peace. Before anyone could change the subject, the company's founder unexpectedly arrived on stage. His name was Graham Ellison, a respected businessman known for remembering the people who helped him during difficult times. He began thanking employees for their dedication before announcing a surprise recognition award for extraordinary acts of loyalty and selflessness. Everyone assumed the honor would go to a senior executive. Instead, Graham called my name. Confusion spread through the ballroom. Even I wondered if he had mistaken me for someone else. Graham stepped down from the stage, walked directly toward me, and warmly shook my hand. Years earlier, before his company had become successful, his bicycle had broken down outside my small repair shop. He had been rushing to a meeting that could determine the future of his struggling business. I repaired the bicycle immediately, refused to charge him because he was obviously under financial pressure, and wished him good luck. I had forgotten the incident completely. Graham had never forgotten. He explained that after that meeting, his business secured its first major investment. He often remembered the stranger who showed kindness without expecting anything in return. Over the years, he quietly learned more about me and discovered that I had sacrificed personal dreams so my wife could continue her education and build a career. He admitted that people like me rarely appeared on magazine covers, but they formed the invisible foundation beneath countless success stories. The ballroom became completely silent. Many employees lowered their eyes. Victor's confident expression slowly disappeared. Celine covered her face as tears rolled down her cheeks. She later confessed that she had always wanted to publicly thank me, but never knew how. Hearing someone else recognize those hidden sacrifices broke the emotional wall she had carried for years. Graham invited Celine onto the stage beside me. He told everyone that true leadership begins at home, where unseen acts of patience, encouragement, and sacrifice shape stronger families and stronger communities. He asked the audience to remember that every successful person usually stands on the shoulders of someone who quietly believed in them long before the world noticed. The applause that followed felt different from ordinary applause. It wasn't loud because people were impressed by wealth. It was sincere because they recognized something money could never buy. Several employees approached me afterward to apologize for judging me by my profession. Others shared stories about parents, spouses, grandparents, and friends whose sacrifices had gone unnoticed for years. The atmosphere transformed from one of competition into one of gratitude. As Celine and I walked through the hotel's peaceful garden later that afternoon, surrounded by bright flowers and warm sunshine, she held my hand with tears still shining in her eyes. Neither of us needed grand speeches. We understood that love grows strongest when two people continue believing in each other during seasons when nobody else notices. Life changed in quiet ways after that day. Victor visited my bicycle shop a few weeks later. He wasn't wearing his expensive confidence anymore. He sincerely apologized and admitted that he had spent years chasing titles while neglecting relationships that truly mattered. We shared coffee, spoke honestly about life, and parted with mutual respect. Sometimes the greatest victories are not defeating someone else, but helping them become a better person. Months later, Graham partnered with local businesses to create a scholarship supporting hardworking families who sacrifice for the education of loved ones. To my surprise, he asked me to help select recipients because he believed compassion recognizes compassion. Every year I met remarkable people whose quiet generosity reminded me that goodness still exists everywhere, even when it goes unnoticed. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of someone who quietly sacrificed for your happiness, or inspired you to value kindness more deeply, thank you for staying until this moment. Your thoughts and reflections mean far more than numbers, because every shared experience has the power to encourage someone else.